Welcome. This is a full 360-degree sovereign system overview. We are here to distill the operational mechanics of the commercial redemption process. We will be presenting the core components and procedures of this system based on the source material that defines it. Let's begin the briefing. We've structured this briefing as a crash course broken down into 6 modules. We'll start with the system's foundational premise, move through key concepts like the straw man, and then map out the administrative process, right through to the stated operational outcomes. All right, first module. Let's examine the foundational premise that the entire system is built upon. So what's the core assertion here? It's that our judicial system is fundamentally commercial. According to this framework, every legal interaction you can think of, from a traffic ticket to a major lawsuit, is processed as a business transaction. It's all governed by the rules of commerce, not necessarily the civil law you might be familiar with. To understand the system's architecture, we have to look at its historical precedent. Proponents trace it all the way back to a 13th century English law, the statute merchant. Now, this statute was a game changer because it allowed a person's body to be used as collateral for a debt. The theory is that this core principle, that a human can be surety for a debt, is still the secret engine driving our legal system today. So, if the entire system is commercial, what are the roles people play within it? Well, according to this theory, it all boils down to a very simple duality. You are either a debtor or you are a creditor. And this slide really breaks down those two opposing roles. On one side, you've got the debtor, who's seen as being subject to the system. They're presumed to be in the wrong, and they use currency that's basically just an IOU. On the other side, you have the creditor. This position has authority, operating on the system and providing the actual credit that makes the whole thing run. The key takeaway here is that to navigate this system, you have to shift your status from debtor to creditor. Now, this raises a question. If the whole system is built for commercial entities, how does a living, breathing person actually interface with it? The answer is a critical component known as the straw man. So what is the straw man, operationally speaking? Think of it as a legal fiction created by the state, a corporate version of you. The dead giveaway, the main identifier, is your name written in all capital letters, just like you'd see on a driver's license, a bill, or a court summons. The theory is that the legal system isn't interacting with you, the person, but with this straw man entity. So where does this entity even come from? Well, the theory points directly to these key state-issued documents. It's argued that when you apply for something like a birth certificate, a social security number, or a driver's license, you're unknowingly creating this commercial entity, the straw man, which the state can then contract with, regulate, and control. Every commercial system needs a currency, right? But in this framework, we're not talking about cash as you know it. The primary financial instrument here is the bond. Within this system's logic, a bond is simply evidence of a debt. The theory posits that when the U.S. went off the gold standard, it began using the future productivity and labor of its citizens as collateral. In essence, the government borrowed from the people, creating a massive debt that is owed back to them. The bond is seen as the proof of the credit that each individual person holds. And this is the critical connection point back to you, personally. Your social security number, when you remove the dashes, is claimed to be the account number for this bond. The idea is that it's more than just an ID number. It's the actual key to accessing the credit that the government supposedly owes you. Okay, so we've laid out the core components of the theory: a commercial system, the roles of debtor and creditor, and the straw man interface. But how do you actually apply this knowledge? That brings us to the operational procedure, what's known as the administrative process. Now, it's really important to understand that this process is not about arguing in a courtroom. Instead, think of it as a pre-court evidence-gathering protocol. The entire objective is to create a formal, official record that establishes the facts and determines who has acted in honor or dishonor, all according to these commercial rules. So let's walk through the operational sequence here. Step 1 is accept for value. This is where you take any bill, charge, or ticket, you endorse it in a very specific way, and you send it back. The claim is that you're using your credit, your exemption, to discharge the charge. Step 2, you create a sworn affidavit of truth, which lays out your facts of the matter. Step 3, you use a notary public as a third-party witness to certify all the documents. And finally, Step 4, if the other party fails to rebut your affidavit point by point, the notary can then issue a certificate of non-response. This is claimed to establish their dishonor and make your version of the facts the undisputed truth on the record. And this right here gets to the absolute heart of why this process is considered so powerful. The underlying principle is that in commerce, silence is agreement. If you make a sworn statement of facts and the opposing party doesn't challenge it, your version of the story becomes the legally binding truth. So what's the end game here? If someone follows this entire administrative process correctly, what are the target outcomes? What is it all supposed to achieve? Well, the purported outcomes are pretty significant. We're talking about the discharge of public debts like taxes or tickets, and the dismissal of commercial charges. It's all about fundamentally shifting your status from debtor to creditor. The ultimate objective, according to this system, is to reclaim your exemption and operate as the source of credit, not just a user of debt. And that concludes our overview of the commercial redemption system, a framework that argues contracts and debt hold more power than traditional statutes. It leaves us with a central, provocative question to consider. When a system operates on contracts and debt, where exactly does the authority of law begin, and where does it end?